How are we doing? Sorry, I'm a bit late. I thought I had these images prepared, but I didn't. Not quite how I wanted them. Welcome in. Let me just get the chat up. Here we are. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Sounds good. Here we are. Testing 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Okay, so the last 3 weeks I've been doing the playthroughs for 2d6 Dungeon, looking at the animal companions, and so I thought I'd do something different this week. And hi David, hi Jeff, good to see you. Graham, good to see you. And I thought I'd do something different. Have a look at. I put a couple of polls up, and it got me thinking. As I often am thinking about the tabletop arena, and obviously Scott, good to see you. Hello, hello. hello. Yeah, and I just threw a poll up, and what is your favourite tabletop genre? And it got me thinking, and so I thought, why not talk about that this evening? That particular poll got 925 votes, so I thought, well, that's a bit of a basis for a conversation, because I like to talk about the games that I'm going to make, the reasons why I make the games I make, and the reasons why I pick the genres and stuff like that. Starglider, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. My son Max 8 loves playing a bit of 2d6 and watching back your streams. Max, good to see you, Max. Hope you're well. Would you mind saying hi? He'll be so pleased. Hey, Max. You're obviously a very cool person. Jason96. What is this? Jason96. Did you come before and say, what is this? Did you do that? Plysove. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. I'm glad you made it. Howdy, Mark. How you doing? Good to see you. No problem. That's not a problem at all. How you doing, Max? Starglider 77 as well. That's a good vintage year, 77. So yeah, it's not going to be a playthrough stream today. It's going to be a bit of a discussion. So if you're watching the vlog back, that's what's coming. Okay, so it's just going to be general discussion and having a look at these polls. And it's been a bit of an eye-opener, actually. I've never really done the polls on Facebook before. I'm doing good. I managed to defeat that Cyclops. Fantastic. Now going through level 9, having hope again I can make it. Yes, you will. As I say, be prepared for level 10. There is a bit of a step up with the Lords. They're very powerful. So we have had people get that far and fall at the final hurdle. So think about your scrolls, and your armor's got to be good as well. And cheers. Yeah, I got a Bailey's as well for company this evening as well. As well as you guys. So I have been thinking a lot about the games that I make, and we've been looking back on last year's sales, and it's always a question because it's just me in the company working on the games. Joe does the logistics and handles some of the admin and stuff like that. I've got to kind of like, what's the best use of my time? How do I keep the business going? How can I stay in this full time? Now, Henry, good to see you. So I've got to say to myself, when I'm doing a game, no matter how innovative I think it is it going to be like, yeah, is it going to be worth the time for me to do it? Is it, by doing something like that, am I going to get the monetary reward and support my family in the same process. So you got to. I'm always thinking about this. I'm always thinking, Stars, good to see you. Is it worth doing stuff? So let's have a look at. If I pick a genre, I love all genres. I'm just a complete freak when it comes to that. I really love everything. I've obviously got my preferences, but I'm excited. I get excited about if people bring me stuff and they're excited about it, then I am as well. Often that is the way. You've got to go back, step back, and you've got to say to yourself, do you love that enough to be able to do a game on it? And does that passion come through in your design? That's always important. And in any form of art, that is a really important lesson to take away. Jeff says, I like the Western theme, but I don't know a lot of Western themed games out there. I haven't had time to look though, and less time to actually play. Well, Mark's pretty good with the Western games. Mark's put up some of those games, and before when we've been talking about it. Stars, how you doing? I think I said hello already. Graham likes Western games too. I like Zeppelins. Used to love playing Crimson Skies. There's a bit of a steampunk feel to that, isn't there, Mark? There's no doubt about it. Scott says, fantasy is always the safe choice, but unless risks are made on other genres, nothing will change. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point, Scott. And incidentally, people, if you don't know Ithacus Bain's YouTube channel, go and check it out. He's an active part of the community, does some great playthroughs, but also has a lot of insight about miniatures and games. Just go and check his content. There'll be something for you. If you're into tabletop games, check it out. How about Space Western? Firefly. The biggest issue was they axed it off. I love Firefly. I just love it. Yeah, Mal and the Shepherd, all those guys, fantastic. That's the thing. Even if it's brilliant, they axe it. It's crazy. I like Firefly. David says he loves Firefly. Firefly should never have been cut. Exactly, Mark. It's totally brilliant. I'm very partial to post-apocalyptic and retro sci-fi. That is a genre. Fantastic. Henrik. Good stuff. So, me too. Sci-fi is probably my favourite genre. But I do like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi. So, a bit of a dystopian sci-fi maybe. But I do like hardcore sci-fi classic, all that sort of thing. 2001. Firefly has been bought by Disney, of all people, and are making a new season next year. I'd rather it had stayed cut. David, I've not heard that. That is... Are they doing this to every series they can? Before I forget or fall asleep, it's 5 a.m. here. There's a little something in my latest video for DR Games. Ooh. Well, I will have to check that out and spread the word. It will be woke. Dystopian sci-fi. Have you seen Silo on Apple TV? That would make a good dungeon. Silo is one of my favourite shows. I absolutely love it. I love Rebecca Ferguson as well. But I love the books. I read the books years ago and I love them. So to see them made into such a great TV show, it's so good. It's just the thing I've enjoyed the most on TV in the last 5 years. So Jeff says, I remember Boot Hill RPG and Gunslinger Avalon Hill bookcase game from way back, like 1970s and 1980s. Silo's fantastic. I need to read the books though. Yes, and the booms as well. The books are fantastic. The TV's the show's quite loyal to it. They misses out quite a lot, but you would do. They're great books. Wool is the book's called Wool, not Silo, and Wool. Can't remember the other names. Just see. Alan, good to see you. I love Silo too. I read the books as well. Been a while. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally with you, Alan. Chaos. Shift Dust. Thank you, Henrik. Chaos. Yes. Yeah. Really, really good. Really fantastic. I'm really fascinated to see how they're going to do the next season as well, with the flashbacks and everything. Back to when the silos were built and what caused it. It's brilliant. Brilliant. So, yeah. The more we're talking about it, I'm wondering if it's about a genre or about well-selected combination of two genres. All the good things are not just one genre. That's a good point. I mean, wow. Well, okay, this is an interesting one, right? Could you argue, think about this, that pure fantasy is maybe the only one there that is just one genre? Think about that. So when you think about the classic Conan, well, maybe Conan's a little bit darker, but maybe Dragonlance, high fantasy thing. Is that one genre? Is that why? Have we hit upon something here? Is that why fantasy is the most popular? Because it's so rooted in what has already been established. People love that. What do you think about Foundation? Henrik, I really enjoyed Foundation. It's fantastic. I read the books back in my 20s I read the book, so that's a little while now. But the show, a little bit bombastic, maybe a little bit pompous, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. Fallout New Vegas is one of the best games ever made. So post-apocalyptic Western is a perfect combination. Yeah. You know, I think Western gets kind of lassoed in, pun intended, when the world becomes dystopian or post-apocalyptic and there's no cars, but you've only got horses, and the guns are a bit archaic, maybe, because pistols tend to last a bit longer than the automatic rifles, because the rifles are kind of in demand and they get overused and the ammo's a bit more expensive to get hold of. So you can get hold of a handgun and then maybe it seems more. Henrik Bombastic, yes, I liked the new trailer. There's another season coming, is there? So maybe we get confused with what the Western is in its form and in its shape. Maybe that is just how it would be. So maybe Western could be dragged into lots of these, but it really isn't Western, potentially. I don't know. It's shadows of it, isn't it? It's kind of, and often, because it's often these are based in America, you get the big kind of wide shots and the land looks a bit deserty, doesn't it? So it kind of draws that kind of aesthetic in as well, potentially. The RPG of time. It would take 20 years just to finish one campaign. That's a difficult question. I'm so used to fantasy, it's difficult to dissect it. Speaking of Conan, it's always been a bit more sexuality in it and unfair darkness. Yeah. I guess there are kind of reverberations of the time it was written in that go through that. But great, I love reading. I've read the Conan books. They're fantastic. I really enjoyed them. But I'm maybe not so lean towards Conan, because it does touch on the dark fantasy side of things with the kind of cults and stuff like that, and the slave element and stuff, which isn't very appropriate these days, I guess. You know, but it's a difficult. But the thing is, if you look at something like Dragonlance, is there sci-fi in that? I guess with D&D, some D&D they pull in there's some sci-fi elements, but not really. It's fantasy, isn't it? Some sci-fi is more fantasy. Michael Moorcock's, yeah. Hawk Moon, yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of the earlier kind of high fantasy type stuff, isn't it? I've tried to read Michael Moorcock, but I've never really got on with it. It's a bit too, I don't know, there's something about it. But yeah. So is that the question? Comments down below, please. You know, if you feel that fantasy doesn't have any other genres pulled into it, but lots of these other ones do, maybe that is the reason why. Second edition D&D had Spelljammer. Yes, Spelljammer is the one. And 5th edition, there's they revamped it, didn't they? And re-released it recently. That was so unappealing to me when I was a teenager. I was kind of like, I cannot understand why there would be these laser guns in D&D and stuff like that. I couldn't get my head around that whole concept. So yeah, that was. I always like Warhammer, and Warhammer's a bit darker, a bit grittier. So I was kind of raised with that, even though I played Red Box D&D and stuff like that. I was quickly sucked into Warhammer, and I enjoyed that side of it. I liked the undead. I liked some of the kind of the orc characters that were featured. So I've always kind of been drawn a bit more to that side of things. So that's kind of where 5th edition. If it wasn't got Thacker in it, I'm not playing. Yeah, exactly. D&D type fantasy is rooted in historical medieval times with monsters and magic added. So is that considered like a historical genre? Good question. I would kind of say that, yeah. I mean, Gygax's original, he loved the kind of the wars, didn't he? He's very interested in warfare, and he drew a lot of that from Napoleonic histories and all those kind of those. But I just feel like if you go to a basic society, if you go to something that has no technology, you're kind of left with a medieval society. You know, wherever it might be in the world. If you had gone back in time to any of these villages, any of these places, anywhere during that period in Europe, say, they'd pretty much probably look the same. I don't know. Be a rat catcher and save the world. Absolutely. Warhammer. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Christopher, how are you doing? RPG, yeah, the Warhammer fantasy is oddly grounded, and things you can look up, but isn't a period. We are currently living in a far future. We have no grounding, just our imaginations. Sorry, I didn't do your comment justice there. Sorry, Christopher. We're currently living in our far future. Imagination is a wonderful thing. I mean, it's like a strange gift that humans have. I mean, it separates us, isn't it? Imagination, consciousness, how we form memories. If we didn't have our memories, would we be who we are? You know. Sam, good to see you. It is curious. Let's have a look at this poll. Sad that Grimdark is showing so poorly. By far my favourite genre. You know, it's a genre I'm very attracted to, Alan, as well. I've written for Mort Borg, Cyborg, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, a kind of supplements and stuff like that I've contributed to. So I love all that stuff, and I've written many stories set in grim, dark environments. But then we'll have a look at them because it's interesting. I like to kind of put a little prefix as well about this whole poll situation. But this is Ply says D&D type fantasy. It's always in the past, isn't it? I guess that makes it an alternative historical genre. Is it possible to make D&D fantasy in today's time? I don't even want to think about it, lol. Yeah. I guess it is tricky. Matt, good to see you. I think it's pretty unique. It's been enough stuff built around fantasy. We all kind of, when we think of fantasy, we kind of, a lot of us our minds go to that kind of D&D, high fantasy, swords and sorcerers, wizards. There is a sense of the Merlin type heritage that comes through the British Isles and France and has fed into that, and Tolkien and how he's fed into that, and how kind of early sort of kind of pre-Raphaelite type works, kind of fantasy figures, fairy type figures. Hey Paul, Starglider says, love Grimdark, wasn't my choice, but man, it's great. It is great. Paul says the personal story is easier to develop in a dungeon crawler than in fleets or ships in space. Well, we've got the challenge of taking the dungeon crawler into a sci-fi environment, which is going to be fun. That's that 2-6 Void, and that's coming in the summer, the late summer, come autumn. And we will be launching it then. But I think, so if you look at something like Space Hulk from Games Workshop back in the day, I think that was very successful because it was like a dungeon, wasn't it? And we're going to have a similar experience with 2D6 Void. It's going to be exploring a large ship, but that's coming. Now, Mark makes a really good point here. I would tick classic sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, Western, and grimdark. I think that a lot of those go together. You can almost blend all those together to make one thing. And I think that's potentially the difference. Maybe the identity of some of these other genres hasn't been solidified as much. Hasn't had that moment on the stage that has kind of eclipsed it, or kind of brought it to everybody's attention, so everybody thinks of that one thing when they think of it. One type of thing. But that sounds like a really good combination of things. Christopher says, sorry, blind gamer here. I was saying sci-fi is in the future, so we have no grounding for it. So I think it's harder for people to grasp onto. I get you. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you could argue fantasy set in the past, sci-fi set in the future. And we want to try and get as far away from where we are at the moment into one of those areas. So we want to get escapism is really key here. What's as far away from what we have as can be? Could you argue that magical fantasy is as far from where we are at this moment? Is it the most escapism that you can get by having a fantasy like that? I mean, that could be one of the things as well. I mean, this could be an unpicking of why fantasy is so popular. I mean, it's obviously, many people have said this before. Sluglider recently enjoyed the Vermis books from Hollow Press, very grimdark. Right, well, if you're going to start recommending things, I'm going to have to make a note. Okay. Vermis books. Okay. How about Mass Effect? That did a pretty good job in creating stories. Yeah, I never played Mass Effect. it was by the time Mass Effect came out, I was out of the PC scene, so I never played it. It's my biggest regret. I won't get to experience interstellar travel. Yeah, I dream of going into space. I'd love to go into space. I'd love to go to the moon, to Mars. It's like a dream. It's a dream for me as well. I from a young age, I've been an amateur astronomer. I've always enjoyed going to clubs and stuff and looking at Saturn's rings and doing a bit of stargazing. I love all that stuff. It's the mind just goes places, you know. And I follow this the extra, what's it called, the xenoplanets? No, what are they called? The far planets. I forgot what they're called. But yeah, I enjoy watching all the news about these distant planets being discovered coming in. It's really fun. Jordan, grimdark feels like a subgenre. Morkborg is grimdark fantasy. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So let's have a look at this poll. So let me do a little bit of prefix here. I haven't done polls on Facebook before, but I just suddenly thought, right, this would be interesting because I've been thinking about some of my games, as I was saying. Exoplanets, thank you. Thank you, exoplanets. Thank you, Ply, that's fantastic. Christopher, I'm in urban fantasy forward. Into the far-flung sci-fi kind of person, so I've been trying to figure out ways of getting people to get out of fantasy for a long time, and I've not figured it out. No. And you won't. Exoplanet, thank you. I knew that. Exoplanets. Yeah, so never done polls before, and I was like, right, I'll put one up because I wanted to gather some opinions on how popular Westerns were. I love superheroes as well, Mark. Superheroes. I love the Marvel superheroes. I've actually been thinking about running some of that. Also, D&D for escapism from today. Sci-fi for questions of being anyone else out there and somewhere, and escapism. Yeah. I love that concept, that thought of just going out into space and just exploring. I was brought up on Star Trek. I love Star Trek as well. Could it be possible to create a dungeon with a realistic spaceship, everyday trouble of a spaceman dealing with oxygen leaks, decompression, radiation, losing a spanner while fixing solar panels? Yeah, I mean, the dungeon we're going to create, it's going to be a standalone game, but it's going to be 2d6 Void, and 2d6 Void uses the combat system is going to be very similar. It's going to incorporate technology, so there's going to be ways of using maybe a laser gun or other stuff like that. We'll just have to see. Can't wait to see too. Jordan says, thanks, Jordan. 2d6 Void, as described, will keep the story personal. That's much better than Space Armies. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to something bigger. I'm looking at a skirmish game for the future. But again, this sort of research I've been doing is going to help me inform that. So I hadn't done these polls, and I set it up, and I didn't realise there was a box where you could tick. People could answer one, and they can't add anything. I left those alone so people could add their own categories if they wanted to. I thought, well, let's just see what happens. And boy, did I miss out some genres. So I think something like 8 or something like that. So I've got a series of images on the screen here we're going to have a look at. Yeah. Pass the hydro spanner. Yeah, said Han. Fantastic. We've got this basic selection here. Hang on. We want this one. So we've got that one, and then we've got, yes. So I put... So obviously this is a percentage, okay. I hope Westerns would do better in the poll, I know. Well, we're going to talk about the Wild West Marshal and my ideas for it, okay, once we've had a look through this. So at the moment, I'm doing Legendary Dungeon. We just had the level 2 draft complete, and I've sent that off to people to read, and I'm gonna start compiling. I'm going to start compiling the layout for Legendary Dungeon. So we're really moving forward here. So it's fantastic. Animal Companions are looking good. We're well on target. I'm going to be banging out level 3 over the next week and a half. So that's the plan. So it's looking good, right? But also I've been developing, because I can't just work on one game, because otherwise I think I might go slightly insane. So I've been working on another game called Wild West Marshal. I've also been doing a little bit of freelance writing for a friend of mine. So I've been helping them out. I'm not going to talk about that at the moment. But so the Wild West Marshal, I thought, how interested are people in Westerns? You know? It said favourite, but I picked a couple, yes. And that was my mistake. So I didn't close that off. Dave says, I'm guilty of that as well, Jeff. Yeah. So we've got 925 votes, but there's a few people that have voted twice. But that's fine. You know, if you feel that passionate about it, it's good. I want it in there on the table. So I'm going to go through them and we can discuss them as we go. So we've got the classic. So we've got classic sci-fi, future world of science. Okay, something like Star Trek, where things are pretty good. 17%, which is pretty good. I was then very surprised that post-apocalyptic did well with 8%. Okay, I think there's a real trend, because there's some good shows that have post-apocalyptic environments. Silo we've been talking about. We've got what have we got? What was it? Silo. The other one I always forget the name for. Set in the Bunkers. Fallout. Should remember that. Now my game Rad Zone is a post-apocalyptic game set where you are in it's a radiated environment. That's not exactly an original story. Mine was designed to be like episodes of The Walking Dead. You go out and you try and find stuff to survive and bring it back to the bunker. I didn't put zombies on here either as a tabletop genre. I don't suppose it is, but that's kind of horror, I guess. So that did well, 8%. I thought that wasn't too bad. Dystopian, a difficult one to understand what that actually means, because you look it up, it's a social suffering or injustice. I looked it up in the dictionary to just double check the meaning, because I didn't want to get these two, but they are distinct. I think that there are dystopian societies. What's the not Firefly, Mockingjay? What's the Mockingjay series? What's that one called? That's that kind of dystopian type world. But Western. Now you think Western. Look at it. 1%. Hunger Games. Thank you, David. Thank you. Guys. Sometimes it's like a guessing game with me, isn't it? Sorry. So you've got, and I like Western. I thought Western might be 5%, something higher, because I'm working on the Western game, and I was like, please be higher, because it's so difficult when I'm kind of looking at my time, my schedule. Am I ploughing something into this game? There's no one's gonna notice it. Now I know that you loyal guys, you guys here, Judge Dredd of RoboCop. Yeah. Maybe that's a good point, David. Really good point, actually. So yeah, I also think Cyberpunk and Blade Runner are dystopian more than post-apocalyptic. Yeah, I kind of see. I look at those as more sci-fi to a certain extent. Sorry, I'm using my spare keyboard and most of the letters are worn off, hence typos. No worries, Mark. We'll buy anything you put out. Man, Sam, that is very kind of you. That is very kind of you. And you guys are so awesome. I'm not just saying that. It is just amazing. But it needs to be. You get like to keep a company going. Thankfully, 2D6 Dungeons evergreen, so it just keeps going. It's like a steam train, which is fantastic. Thankfully, it means I can do what I do. But there's no way that I could make a living off something like Radzone. You know, it just wouldn't be. Personally, not interested in Western. Probably my lowest ranked genre. Interesting, Scott. That is interesting. Thank you for that. I think Western may not stand by itself. That's one of the genres which needs something fresh, unexpected to it. That's a tricky one. It's a bit niche. So I'm coming up with a plan, okay? I'm coming up with a plan. We'll see. I'm going to talk about this once we get down to some of these. Trebbit says, how you doing, Trebbit? Been watching Altered Carbon. Wouldn't mind a game world in that setting. Well, you got the books, the Altered Carbon books, which are fantastic. Apparently, I haven't read them. David says, no. Oh, yeah, I get it. Good one. Yeah. Too much tapping of those keys. Christopher says, I like Westerns. Just been looking for a good Western game and it isn't generic. There isn't a generic system that put Westerns into. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. There's some good feedback there. Thank you. I like the honest feedback. People. So we've got clearly Aeon Flux is dystopian. Yes, that's a good point. Or like Logan's Run. That's a dystopian future. Maybe Westerns don't rate high because they aren't really many out there that right now. Good point, Jeff. That's a good point. Good. Western plus sci-fi equals Firefly. Western plus horror equals Deadlands RPG. Yeah. That's another fantastic point. These are all really good. Some really good feedback here. I've always really loved the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. Loved those. The grittiness of it. I just feel like there's something kind of base about it. Paranoia. Yeah, that's a kind of strange, it's kind of crazy cloning society. Yeah. So I was so disappointed when I saw 1%. It has affected my thoughts. It has affected me. Don't forget, 925 people. So, okay. Next one's Grimdark. Deadly. Yeah, Grimdark has been a rising genre, hasn't it? I love Westerns, but for me, as a game, I'd like to see more of a frontier mechanic. Like, you get to build your homestead and stake out a claim as well as go on adventures. Well, I've kind of been thinking about that with the being a marshal. You're in the town. It's your town. Jordan, too much historical baggage for me when it comes to narrative westerns. Right, interesting, Jordan. Okay, yeah, okay. Completely different angle, says Ply. I'm looking forward to finding something introducing my 5-year-old daughter into 2D6. And I'm even thinking of reprinting 2D6 dungeon cards with pictures of princesses instead. 2D6 Lite. For 6-year-olds. That's a good thought. That's a nice idea. Pep says, dude, my girls would love that. Fantastic. Oh, man. Yeah, that's so many good ideas. That is a good idea. Yeah. 2d6 the card game. Stop it. Sounds fantastic. 2d6 Princess Edition. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, 2d6 the card game. Yeah. It does feel a bit like a card game when you're playing it, when you're doing the monster fighting anyway. You could just do the monster cards and do the fighting if you wanted. And a game that gets the kids away from the screens has got my vote, exactly. Yeah, there's a movement with that sort of thing at the moment, I feel. That's a good point. So Grimdark I thought would be higher than, say, post-apocalyptic. Because Grimdark is very popular. On the surface, it would seem. But in my mind, and I'm surprised because obviously this has been put out into the 2d6 dungeon. And there is something grimdark about 2d6 dungeon. You're in a dungeon, you're fighting monsters, there is that side to it. So I'm surprised that this wasn't higher, seeing it went to those people who play the game. So I'm really surprised at Grimdark being low. And it kind of backs up my thoughts. Maybe there's a bit of a move away from Grimdark. Despite that's not what I want, but I think with things like Draw Steel and the new Dungeons and Dragons edition and then Stranger Things, I think that maybe there's a slight swing back towards D&D slightly. Mort Borg has it's still there, but it's faded out. Its identity's got slightly blurred because there's some beautiful Pirate Borg, Cyborg, and Mort Borg has kind of taken a little bit of it's kind of melted away slightly. I'm not saying it has, but I'm not saying it's gone or anything, and that it isn't brilliant because I love Mort Borg. I've written for Mort Borg, I have supplements, so I love it. But it feels like this just shows me that maybe dark fantasy has maybe kind of just parked over a little bit. It's going to come back into the mainstream any time. Western is very niche, says Pep. You either like it or you hate it. That's interesting. We call that Marmite in this country. And yet they want to send their exam results by app. Hang on a minute. Yes, Mark. The contradictions of modern society. Okay, so Grimdark there. Right, let's look at the next one. Here, so it carries on. All right. Just reduce that down a little bit so it's not so in the way there. Okay, so we have got... we've got Grimdark up again. Classic fantasy, 22% up there. All right. I love Grimdark, but more the fantasy than the sci-fi. Not a fan of 40k Rogue Trader. Warhammer Fantasy is one of my faves. Jordan, I hear what you're saying. Is that Jordan of Jordan Sorcery? No, I can't see the picture. Anyway, no, I like no, I didn't think so. Fantasy, yeah. No, look, I tried to get into Rogue Trader when it first came out, but I was still drawn to the fantasy battle and the fantasy roleplay. Classic fantasy for me as well. Blah says, yeah, it got the highest vote with 22%. And it doesn't surprise me. I thought it'd be higher. So that does surprise me. There's one coming up that surprises me a lot. Modern, 1%. That sounds about right. Alternate futures, 2%. Yep. Weirdscape, 1%. Historical, 3%. Okay, so what we're looking at here are the niche genres that people are loyal to. So you get a few people who are ticking those ones. They like them. It's safe. It's safe for them. But it doesn't necessarily have a mass appeal, which is one of these things. Yeah, Christopher says fantasy I thought would be higher. David says loved Jordan's Sorcery. His history essays on Warhammer are top notch. They really are. Check out Jordan and say hello. Toby said hello. Jordan and I we've hung around in the same spots occasionally. You know, I wouldn't go as far to say that, you know, we're buddies or anything, but when we see each other at conferences, we have a nice chat. So he's a really good guy. Really gentle, and I love his approach to things. Knowledgeable. He's going to UK Games Expo, and I will be seeing him there, no doubt. Not a fan of Westerns, never have been. Mick, thanks. But love fantasy, Slain, Forgotten Novels, Elfort, ElfQuest, a good mix there. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. This is very interesting. I'm getting a real vibe for things here. Ply says, the thing about fantasy, there is a lot on the market already. Although I like fantasy, I have what I need already. Yeah, that's a really good point as well. Where do we go with that? I mean, look, I wanted to have after some quick look on Board Game Geek to see how many games there were in some of these genres on Board Game Geek, just to sort of get an idea. But you're right, saturation. You might look at this, arguably. Okay, this is an argument for Westerns, right? You may look at this and think, right, or clearly you've got to stick to fantasy, Toby, when you're making your games. Well. Is that the case? Is that the case? Because am I going to make a splash in the fantasy? Yes, I have with 2D6 Dungeon, but could I do that again? Or am I going to capture that small niche market and bring in a good little extra to the business by going with one of these like niche Westerns or Weirdscapes or something like that? You know? Is it about the quality of the game and doesn't matter about the genre? I think that there has to be there's a buy-in, isn't there? People, as Scott and some other people down here have said, they're not into Westerns, so they're probably going to see the Western game I've done and said, right, well, this time, Toby, I'm going to pass. We'll go for it next time. Even though they like my games, they just don't want to be in that world. I think when you game it's about being in the world, isn't it? It's about being in that environment. How important is that? Innovation is key. Start the next wave. If the game is good, people will play it. That is true. Let's look at a game like Radzone. Okay, so, you know, it has some fun mechanics. It's got some great tables, but yet it doesn't really sell as half as well as I'd like it to. And, you know, people tell me they like it. So, it is tricky. It's tricky. Maybe you should just look in the mirror to discover what to do next. Space Odyssey. Oh, man. I don't know. Quality of the game is huge. Innovation mechanics that haven't been done to making something simple but still compelling. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Really you got to hit the nail on the head with stuff like that. Makes me think of 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, the journaling type game. It was written by a guy who hated vampire stuff and rewrote it his way. Oh. Jordan says, just out of left field, I like this one, Jordan. I can tell you're a troublemaker. I'd love to see you take on Cyberpunk with 2D6. I think that one's a little bit further down the line. Listen, with 2D6 Void, we're going to get sci-fi type rules, which kind of brings in... There may be cyberpunky elements to that, we'll see. But it's probably going to be lean more towards classic sci-fi. Detective procedurals are widely popular on TV. Most games have been Sherlock Holmes based. Tricky to develop a good mechanic, but could be a breakout. Yeah. Go Bizarro. Cadillacs and dinosaurs. Pep. What are you drinking, Pep? So let's carry on with this. So right, we've got modern, Weirdscape, historical, other. Okay, so that's where I had it up to. See the other on the screen there. I thought, right, I'm going to get all those ones above. People are going to click one of those, but no, I didn't realise I'd left it open so people could add their own. And it's a really interesting thing, because I'm glad that actually I made that mistake, because it really opened up. One of these days, Radzone's going to break out and be huge. That's very kind of you to say, Jeff. I just hope so, because I love it. It's very close to my heart, that game. At least I can't be blamed this week. Mark, I never blame you. Right, so really, really fascinating. Okay, get this, right? Nature. Why the hell didn't I think of nature? And someone's added this in. You've got the name here. Casper's added this in. He's added in nature. I'm like, of course. I love playing Forest Shuffle. If you haven't played Forest Shuffle, you should play it. It's fantastic. Tank Girl, yeah. I love Tank Girl. Well, let's get down to that one, Mick. Speaking of rewriting vampires, one genre missing a scandal noir, like The Dark, or Catler, is Scandi Noir. Yeah, like The Dark. Yeah, no, you're right. Well, we'll see if someone's put that in, because there's some Weirdscape kind of fits a bit of that, maybe. Yeah, modern. I don't know. Yeah, we'll get. Yeah, we'll get down to it. So, nature. I really like the idea of doing a nature game. I'm a real nature lover. So, but it just wouldn't slot into the kind of the demographic of my audience. It'd be tricky. It'd be a tricky one to do. But I just think that's an eye opener for me. Wingspan, Forest Shuffle, games like that have really opened that genre up, and people are excited. Fungi, another game. Stuff like that. There are some good games in that genre which are exciting, and I personally really enjoy them. So I'm stupid for not putting horror. I didn't put in, and I kind of felt like I left that out partly because it covers grim dark. It falls into some of these other areas. So horror's there. Heroes and villains, 2%. I thought that might be higher. I don't know why I didn't put that in. Put the soups in. Wild Marshall, who's also in tune with... Possibly, Jeff. I like your thinking. I don't mean those gits who cut the sycamore. Oh my God. Hang on a minute. I missed a couple here. Chainsaw Warrior, yeah. Flipping hell, you're right. That good game. I have a 1,000-year-old vampire on the shelf. I just need to get it into right mind space before I dive in. Really want to get creative with it. Put the effort in. That sounds like it'll be worth it. I think if you can. Ravenloft, yeah. Starlight says. Nature can play a part of a man-eater. Nature. You can play the part of a man-eater. Now, that would be great. That's really kind of niche. So, heroes and villains. Disappointed that didn't get more. I love the superhero genre. I'm surprised I didn't put that one in either. I just missed that out. And then cutesy, cuddly, feel good. That is on the increase. That's 3%. That's got more than all the other ones that we've been talking about. Modern, westerns, it's the same as historical. You know, I'm kind of like, wow. You know, what is going on there? So, okay, here's some other ones coming up. Yes. So here's some other ones. Let's go down again. We've seen that one already. Here we go. Historical war games, Asian themed. Someone put that in. I don't really quite know. I guess that's kind of like Japanese manga style. Pulp adventure. That's an interesting one. No one voted for that one though. Aquatic. No one voted. Christopher put it in but didn't vote for it. Same goes for Charles. So we've got mythology. Again, historical for me. That's kind of falls into that kind of thing. But it's got 3%. Steampunk 3%. Railways, fantastic. John's put in there. Thank you, John. Railways, so 2%. Again, higher than Westerns. Cats, I love that. Medieval, yeah. Sports games, of course. The sports genre, 3%. And there's one on here that it still hasn't. I'm like, hang on a minute. Got to get this. Just trying to find the last page. Bear with me. No, that's the binding one. Where is it? Here we go. Sports strategy, yep. Cyberpunk. Backed, but it seems to be struggling writing the prompts. If I'd seen Railways when I voted, I'd definitely hit that. I'm going to Llangollen Railway tomorrow with my parents. Well, we were over in Llangollen a few weeks back. I love Llangollen. My in-laws live quite 20 minutes away from there. I voted too early before all the custom options are in. If you did the poll again and asked to tick all you'd buy, if it was a solo dungeon result, maybe very different. Yeah, there is that side of it. We want to get into it, unfortunately. But yeah, train games are very niche but fascinating. Have an 18xx on the shelf waiting for the right time to dive in. Yeah, they are pretty deep as well. I'm very tempted to pick one up. There are so many choices, the votes are spread out. Some could be combined. This is what I'm thinking. So I have kind of been, in my mind, combining them. But if we look down here, there's racing kind of comes into sports, doesn't it? Lovecraftian is kind of horror. Business is kind of modern. Cyberpunk. Yeah. Star Wars, sci-fi. Pirates. Where's the love for pirates? Now, it's obviously added later. So people haven't voted for it, as has already been pointed out. And then some war game stuff down the bottom there. But the table's still up there, so people can still vote if they want to go back. But pirates. So what I think I'm going to do. Who doesn't love pirates? Exactly. I know. I can only think because maybe it was added fairly late in the scheme of things. So I'm like, wow. Okay, so that's mind blowing. This whole experience, and I kind of feel like, on some level, it defeated me. Not in a bad way, but kind of like, oh man, this has, it's more complicated. That oh. Hang on. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh, I'm still here somewhere. I'm still here. Oh Oh man. I'm still here. Oh. Yes, it's a lovely picture, that. Right, so I think it just switched everything around. We've got a pro streamer here, just be careful. I think it flipped all the things up the other way. So I think what's happened is, what's happening in my mind is, yes, I love the Western idea. But what I think I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the Western game. But my expectations are going to be perhaps more realistic in the success I might have with it, and it will also probably mean it will take slightly longer. But with the Western game, I've already developed a combat system which uses cards, little kind of cards, and because I want to try and create something that creates, so it's a combat system, but that I can transfer this to pirates, the system to pirates. It will skip across. It's not going to be a huge system. It's going to be something simple, but fun and playable. And I think that pirates, Western dystopian type futures, I think there could be room to reskin this system for all of those genres. Yeah. Dystopian pirates on rails, like you're thinking. It seems to have backfired. If you're equipped with the truth or something, is that backfiring, or is that just insurance? You know, I just feel like, I think you've got to make a game that you love, and I love Westerns, and I've been doing research and it's interesting. But if I can turn that into like a dystopian situation where there's like another world, there are many ways to interpret data. You're not wrong, says Jeff. Wise words. Will there be tables? Lots and lots of tables. Well, David, there will be some tables, but I'm trying to not have too many tables. The problem with tables is they take a long time to write. And that is time that costs. And for a genre that has 1%, I kind of like, how can I justify that? It's tricky. You know, there will be a map. There will be, indeed. There will be a town map with locations, and then there will be, the locations will then an event will happen, and the event will be a separate little booklet or whatever, and you go to each location and you encounter what that is there, and then you have fights, and there are multiple options to sort of make it replayable. At the moment, there isn't drawing of a map. At the moment. So we'll see. But there'll be more about it. There'll be more about it soon. So, I mean, I think I think we can all kind of agree that is an interesting poll that has thrown up some expecting some unexpected results, but some kind of expected results. I do love the fact that nature came up with such a high score. Maybe not that one. Nature, 12%. Pretty good. Can anyone think of any RPGs with a crime genre? Mafia, gangsters, smugglers. I like the way that, right, so, right, that made me laugh, right? So, Scott says, can anyone think of any RPGs with a crime genre, mafia, gangsters? Not really. And then immediately after, Mark's response to my question about nature, talking about the nature, was beavers making dams. But then I kind of read that like that was some kind of crime genre RPG, and I was like, just for a second, I was like, I never had... Yeah. I've always wanted the Shadows of Brimstone as an RPG solo without grim dark aspects. Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Scott. Haven't you played Beavers Making Dams? Those damn beavers. No, it's true. I mean, look, I love the map thing about the beavers moving stuff and making dams. It's a great idea, Mark. I'm not at all mocking your idea in any way whatsoever. I think it's a fantastic idea. I love beavers. I mean, Anyway, we don't even have a spy genre in there. Anyone remember the top secret RPG back in the day? Well, I guess you could say that Delta Green is kind of like a spy version of Call of Cthulhu, isn't it? So... yeah. So Delta Green kind of fits into, you can use some spying and X-Files type things. Spy versus spy, oh Mick. So that takes me right back, okay? Spy versus spy. So my dad had he had like about 20 of the Mad books. So obviously an American thing, I think. But over here in the UK, there is a certain... we love certain things within American culture that I think probably Americans, many of you wonderful Americans out there, will probably find it difficult to understand why British people like them. I think it's probably a nostalgia thing, largely. But there was in those Mad books, there were the little spy versus spy comic strips that I used to always look forward to reading. So, yeah. Then, of course, it was a computer game later on as well. But you heard of Drifter? Great solo western. I'm going to make a note of that one there. Drifter. I think maybe someone might have mentioned that to me already. I used to love reading those Mad books. This is so creative, so fascinating. I loved it. What have we got here? D&D made some choose your own adventure books that was super expensive. The super expensive now. One of those was the James Bond Star book. So yeah, no, it was definitely choose those books. I had some of those books, David. Of course I would. I mean, naturally. I had Top Secret RPG. I particularly like the Table of Methods of Assassination and Process. Fantastic. I might have to have a look at those tables. I like a good table. Assassination. I'm making a note of this. Tables. I made my own Spy versus Spy costume for Halloween before Trebbits. Comment of the stream. Thank you, my friend. That is fantastic. Drifter, Space Drifter, and now The Adventurer. Great solo games, very similar to Barbarian Prince and Choose Your Own Adventure books. Right. Yeah. Legend. Fantastic. So, I did a second poll, but I feel like it hasn't got as much place in this discussion today as maybe looking at Board Game Geek. So we'll look at the other poll another time. Okay, it's not as important. But what we will do, we'll pop onto Board Game Geek and have a look at... let's try and get this up here. Here we go. She's lovely, this lady. Such a great voice. And then what I thought we could do is have a look at just board games. Let me just get this up here. Navigating this site has never been as easy as I would have liked it to have been. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Let's just put June in here. Let's get it onto. Oh, okay. Let me find the right page. There's actually RPG Geek as well. Is there not just a home page? Right, here we go. How do we do stats on here? I had this up earlier. Browse. Oh, here we go. Categories. Right, this was it. So we had fantasy. Toby, did you ever get the Fighting Fantasy Bestiary out of the pit? I got a second copy in a job lot and can send it over if you're interested. We should do a swap. Did you have all the sorcery books, David? Email me. We'll do a swap. I'll send you something over. You're very good. Let's have a look here. Fantasy. Okay. Clicking on fantasy, you get we get like an overview page, and linked games to fantasy. All right, we can have a look here at the top rated game rank. Top rank. Gloomhaven is top. War of the Ring. Spirit Island. Look at that. Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, Runes of Arnak, Root. Now this is quite a broad range of fantasy, isn't it? So you've got like this Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth is massive at the moment. That's a really big game. These games are rated high because of their mechanics. Yeah, I mean, you say that. They're well-designed games, don't get me wrong. But like Terra Mystica is like quite old now, you know. Roots 2018. Gloomhaven's 2017. The mechanics in Gloomhaven aren't that exciting. They're not really that exciting. It's just putting stickers in a book and rolling a few die. Nothing major about it. Good storytelling, you know. Roots, I haven't played Root, but it looks interesting. There's lots of reasons why. There's hype around them, isn't there, that gets them up there. So let's just say, right, so if we say that there's 18,789 in fantasy. All right. And if we go back to something like science fiction. Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a range of mechanics, isn't there? So we've got science fiction here. If we look at linked games, all right. So there's still more than I would have thought. So sci-fi has got 12,709. So that's 6,000 less. No. 6,000 less than fantasy. Which is rank Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I mean, that's 25,000 rankings. That's just a big game with a lot of figures. And Dune Imperium. I hear a lot of great things about Dune. Again, it's got a particular brand to it, which obviously helps. Terraforming Mars rose during like a peak, didn't it? When Euro games started to become a bit more mainstream. These are pretty hardcore sci-fi. These ones though. Scythe. So I've played Scythe. I played Terraforming Mars quite a bit. I don't understand why that is where it is. I mean, it's okay. Don't forget, Toby was a teacher. We're getting some percentages and pie charts on the fly, I reckon. I was an art teacher, so no pie charts, I'm afraid. So we had, and Scythe. I played Scythe. Didn't like it much. I've got Underwater Cities. I haven't played that yet, but I had a look through it. Pretty kind of a bit sort of a convoluted Euro. I'm not a big fan of Euros, so I just kind of like I try to play Euros because I've got friends that like Euros, but SETI's quite a heavy Euro apparently. Crew is completely different. Now, Crew is a card game, so that is quite a different type of game, which is good to see there. Good to see up in the ranks. But yeah, now these all look. Arcs is doing huge at the moment. Surprised that's not a bit higher up. Arcs just won a whole bunch of golden geek awards. Yeah, I can draw them well. I'm more of a writer, to be honest. It's the creative side of me. But right, so 12,000. If we go back, if we go back one more. Now look, if you look, this is revealing for me. So, well, we got pirates. Let's have a look at pirates. So, linked games for pirates. All right. So, we got 1,644 for pirates. Now, linked items doesn't necessarily mean they're full games. They may just be expansions or whatever. Whenever playing non-solo games, we tend to always lean to Betrayal at House on the Hill. I love the mechanic, and most of my friends are horror fans. Betrayal at House on the Hill. Well, I put that one down there as a little note. Thank you, David. So what we've got here, we've got by rank. Maracaibo, I probably said that completely wrong. The Isle of Cats, Skull King, Forgotten Waters, Dead Reckoning, Friday, Port Royal, the board game, rather than the miniatures game, which I had my first game of the other day, and we've played my eldest daughter. It was actually really cool. Playing with some Port Royal. It's a bit dark there. Some of these nice figures. Painted them up, got them ready. Love a bit of Port Royal. There he is. Painted up a few. That was really good, actually. I really enjoyed playing that. We got a campaign going, so that's fun. I've not heard of so many games. Haven't had time to play or look at what's out there, so I'm good to judge a popular. These categories are interesting. Yeah. Well, it is interesting to see, isn't it? So there's 1,644 there, which is quite a bit less. Now, if you look back, I think what's quite telling is, so I'm surprised that, Pirates didn't rank a bit more highly in my poll. There isn't Western here. I can't see Western on this. Got zombies. I can't see nature either. American West. American West, thank you. Let's have a look at this one. American West. Right. So 1,403 American West. Good call, thank you. Prestige P, how are you doing? Amni, how are you doing? Is Fantasy the one with the most linked stuff? Fantasy is so far, 18,000. And Sci-Fi is 12,000. Pirates and American West are 1,000. Let's have a look here. Great Western Trail. Great Western Trail 2nd edition. Clearly that's by far the favourite. Colt Express. Trains kind of get drawn into the West, don't they? And there's that side of it. Bang the Dice Game. Homesteaders. Who was saying they wanted to maybe see a homestead type setup? Flip Town. Could be the Flip Town. Could be the centre of Peterborough. Zombicide, Undead or Alive. Dice set. So okay. Yes, David, that was you. Yeah. There you go. You might want to look at that one. Okay, so that's interesting. All right, and then what else do we have? Farming, kind of nature. Is there not? There's not like a general nature one, is there? Spies and secret agents. So a quick look at that one. Spies and secret agents. Ooh, that's low. Not going to write that one down. That's just over 1,000. What's the horror category? Let's have a look at that. Horror. Ooh, horror. Here we go. Horror. 4,671 games linked. Horror. So that is 3rd so far. And if we look at rank, Nemesis. It's interesting. A lot of the top games are coming from that period of 2015 to 2018. obviously there were some peak games made back then during that time. I know it doesn't seem that long ago, but if you think it's now 7, 8, 9 years ago, we're approaching a decade. You know, so time flies, isn't it? Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, of course, hugely popular horror game. I mean, yeah, I mean, Horrified is very popular. Horrified, that's doing really well. Dead of Winter, played that quite a few times. I like Dead of Winter. I like some of the there's some clever mechanics in there about shifting around the zombies. The Wild West Marshal in a haunted ghost town with a haunted railroad and a haunted farmhouse. Yeah. With how many YouTubers do horror, I would have thought the number was higher, because it always seems like I run into horror games being played. Do you mean board games, or this isn't computer games? This is board games. Zombie Chickens, yeah. Zombie Chickens. Where did you see that one? Zombicide, 2nd edition. I haven't played Zombicide. Kingdom Death was my first Kickstarter. Still haven't played it. Ah, man. Is that on there? Kingdom Death. There. 2015. Ooh. Lots of bits. Nice box. Did you get that nice box, Scott? Look at that. Ooh. Looks a bit RPG. Nice. Look at that. When it comes to mythos stuff, there are better board games than there are video games. And mine, that's a good call. I guess it depends what you're after, doesn't it? Let's go back to the there is a trains one. Love painting minis. Yeah, I like doing minis. Yep, 1st edition, pledged over $500. Jesus Christ! Wow, that is dedication. Something about it must have really got you then, Scott. It must have really. Right, let's see just for laughs. Let's just see trains. What do we got? Linked games. 1,777. Higher than Westerns and higher than Pirates. The thing is, I don't know whether I'd be driven to do. Animals are near the top. Should we look at that? Animals. Just feel like it should say nature. Animals. Right, animals. Wow. Okay. Let's write this down. 8,961 animals. There you go. There you go. It's unexpected, isn't it? Bigster, I was big for trains. I have the old bookcase game, Railway Baron. We loved that as kids. Fantastic. That is great. Ark Nova. Look at that. Ark Nova. Now, I've played Ark Nova and I actually quite enjoyed it. And it's not necessarily because of the mechanics, because it's another Euro game. But I enjoyed it because of all the animal cards. There you go. Mick says, see, man-eater, son, told you. Fantastic. Great Western Trail was on there as well with animals. What? I guess you're pushing your cat. You got your cows, didn't you? You got your cats and your roots on there as well. Wingspan, there you go, and Everdell, which is a game I'm going to buy at UK Games Expo. We are buying Everdell. I'm pretty sure my wife would like to play that. The Cave Farmers. No, I picked this one up the other day in a charity shop for £10. Fantastic. I'll have to have a play of that. Harmonies is also got a bit of a vibe about it at the moment. Got all these lovely coloured wooden discs. Look at all this lovely art. Wow. That, I think it won an award for the art. Looks good. Yeah, definitely helps if it looks good, doesn't it? Look at that. And of course, Wormspan as well, which is the expansion, the standalone version of dinosaur version of Wingspan. Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. How cool is that? It's a real eye-opener. It's helped learning some of this stuff and seeing it and kind of getting a bit of a feel for it. It helps temper your expectations, I think, to a certain extent. I'm going to push on with this West adventure. Sorry, guys, that you're not so much into. Maybe you will have a look at it, but I'm probably going to reskin it for pirates and then some dystopian future. So in my mind, it's worth creating this kind of smaller, quicker game that can then be reskinned and reused in a sense, but yet part of a series, perhaps. So we'll see. I think that's kind of where we're going with it. Yeah, I honestly think it's hard to determine what game genre, etc., will sell. I do agree with you. I do feel like if you pitch a game in a fantasy setting, then you've got a little bit more pickup. People are more willing to look at it. Just get that vibe. Cowboy King Fu, detailed combat system, Chinese work, rebellions, etc. Cowboy King Fu. Wow. So is your Western now going to have horse management so it can fall into the animal category? Probably not. Hard to break through in something that has so much already. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah. It's definitely food for thought. I'll be thinking about this. That's all right. Kung Fu. Cowboys versus pirates. We'll see. It is a tricky one. So, guys, I think we're gonna leave it there. It certainly has been interesting. Thank you for all your feedback this evening. Please, if you're watching this, leave your comments down below. Let's carry on the conversation. I want to hear what people feel about genres and whether what we've seen today is something that I should take into consideration when thinking about what games I'm going to plan for the future. You know, obviously there's a whole bunch of 2D6 stuff to do still, and that will keep going because I just love doing it and what it offers. Any games on Aztecs worth looking into? Thanks, Paul. What did Mark say? Yes, Cowboys versus Cthulhu. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting what people look for. I think there are other things here that would take into. Maybe I'll do another poll. Maybe we'll do a discussion like once a month or something like that. And I'll do another poll looking at the role of art in people's perceptions of a game. I've bought games based on the art and regretted it. You know, like Kelp drew me in, and I've tried to play it, but it's just, I don't know, just don't like it. Great art though, flipping looks amazing. There's another game I bought on Kickstarter, and I just got it. The rules were terrible. I think you're right, Jeff. I think that's an important thing. I think that is an important. We do have So we've got a couple of weeks of left of streams, and then we've got the UK Games Expo. Now we go on a Thursday. We've got we're there for 4 days. It's open for 3 days. We set up on the first day, and then we have. I'll be doing a live stream from UK Games Expo. I usually do to show people the stand and have a chat. Yeah, Ply. I'll be sending you some stuff over as well, my friend. I've got to get a couple of things ready for that, but then it will be on its way. Yeah, guys, look, don't forget to click the thumbs up, and if you're not subbed already, it would be really cool if you could, because you'll get a little notification if you click that bell. There you go, enough of that. So guys, I will catch up with you very soon, and there's stuff going out on socials. I'm working hard on 2D6 Legendary Dungeon and chipping away at that Western game, the 1%er. No, but there's many other things involved, as we've discussed. So guys, I'm saying goodnight from this not pro streamer. You take care, and I will catch up with you very soon.